Good evening. My name is Ashley Kakuba and I serve as the volunteer. Chanel's journey as a kidney transplant recipient is one of strength, resilience, and hope. Through her personal experience, she has gained a powerful story that reminds us of the life-changing impact of donation and transplantation. Today, she is using her voice to inspire others, spread awareness, and honor the gift of life. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chanel Faney as she shares her story.
Good evening. Can you all hear me? Yay. Okay. Let's see if I can just write. Okay. When I tell my story, I can't start with dialysis. Because my life didn't begin when the one kidney I was born with began to fail. There's so much more that came before that. So tonight, I want you to hear the whole story. My life began as a child trying to understand why I felt different in places I was supposed to belong. Even inside my own family at times, physically different, even inside my own family at times, I felt like I was standing in the picture instead of a part of it. I was born with Turner syndrome, physically different, navigating a body I didn't fully understand yet. And before I ever had language for it, I lived the experience of being looked at and not knowing why. Comparing myself to everyone around me, wondering if something about me didn't match, feeling pain that never really went away. I grew up in doctor's offices, hearing conversations about my body before I was old enough to speak into them. Decisions made about me, around me. And you learn early what it feels like to live in a body everybody manages, but you don't yet own. If that doesn't stay medical, it becomes personal. And then there were the timelines. At 9, I was told I might not live past 9. So at 9, I got baptized. Because if my life was going to be short, I wanted my soul to be covered. Then I made it to 9, and they said 13. Then I made it to 13, they said 21. And at 23, I was told I needed a transplant. And if I didn't get one, I was going to die. But at 23, God showed me something different. He gave me a vision of my life, of where I would be, of who I would become. And I remember holding on to that. Even when what I was hearing didn't match what I saw. And if I'm honest, there were moments I asked God, why me? Why this body? Why this path? Why this much? And those questions didn't just disappear, they followed me. Through diagnoses, through treatments, through moments most people never even have to think about. My relationship with safety was interrupted more than once. And I learned what it felt like to say no and still not be protected. To speak up and still not be heard. So over time, I adjusted. I learned how to protect other people's comfort more than my own safety. So for a long time, my relationship with my body was survival, not ownership. And even in that, God was there. I didn't always understand it. I didn't always feel strong, but something in me refused to let go. Something in me kept saying, keep going. Years later, my health crashed, slowly, and then all at once. My body got heavier and heavier, like it was shutting down piece by piece. Breathing felt like work, Thinking felt slow, and I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't stop it. In the ambulance, there was noise, and then suddenly, there wasn't. No sirens, no voices, just darkness, and small points of light, like stars. And in that moment, I didn't know if I was coming back. Then my eyes opened, a mask was over my face, people were moving fast around me, I couldn't talk, I couldn't ask questions, and from that moment on, everything changed. After that, my life became dialysis. October 23rd, 2023, my life shifted. My schedule belonged to a machine, my future belonged to a phone call, and if I'm honest, I got tired. Not just physically, but in my spirit. Tired of fighting, tired of treatments, tired of trying to stay strong for everybody else. And I remember getting to a point where I told God, not my will, but your will be done. Because I didn't have anything left in me to give. And that's a hard place to be. Because there were days I didn't want to do it anymore. Days I questioned everything. Days I felt like, God, if this is my life, I don't want to do it anymore. And I didn't walk that moment alone. My husband, he stood with me. When I didn't have the strength to stand for myself, he saw me at my lowest and reminded me who I was when I couldn't see it. And that kind of support, it matters. But somewhere between wanting to give up and still being held, something shifted. Not because everything got easier, but because I surrendered. I stopped trying to control everything. I stopped trying to understand everything, and I said, God, whatever you want to do with my life, just do it. And I meant it. And in that way, I had to decide, was I going to let that season define me, or was I going to find meaning in it? And that's when I started writing my book, From Dialysis to Destiny, a survivor's guide to overcoming adversity, finding strength, and embracing healing and purpose. Not after I made it out, but while I was still in it. Because I needed somewhere for my pain to go. I needed the next person to know this season isn't the end of them. Then, a family lost someone. And because that person chose donation, I was given time back. And I don't take that lightly. Because on one side of this story is loss. And on the other side is me. I later learned that the man whose life saved mine, his name is David. And I was told Christmas was his favorite time of year. And although we are in that season, it still sits with me. Because now I carry a life connected to someone I never met. But someone whose decision changed everything for me. And I carry that with weight. Because when I say I'm grateful, I'm not saying it because it sounds good. I understand what it costs. For the first time in my life, something concerning my body was restored instead of taken. And what brings this full circle for me is this. I've lived through every timeline I was given. Every age they said I might not reach, I'm standing on the other side of it. In the same body, the one I was born into with one kidney, that I was told wouldn't make it this far. And at 23, when I was told I would die without a transplant, God showed me a future. And at 38, I had to remind myself of that future. Because 2 years ago, I didn't know if I was going to be here. But I held on to what God showed me, even when what I was living didn't match it. And now, here I am, standing in April 2026, during Donate Life Month, also my birthday month, just days after turning 40. 40. So I stand here, I don't stand here lightly, I stand here as proof that what God shows you is not limited by what you're told or what you're living. I stand here as an author, as a speaker, as a life coach, as a woman of faith who is not afraid to say that it was God who carried me through. Because I've learned something. Healing isn't just survival. It's awakening. It's becoming. It's stepping into the life you were always meant to live, even when you didn't understand it. Pain didn't break me. It birthed me. It birthed purpose. It birthed strength. It birthed a voice. My scars became my assignments. And part of that assignment is making sure nobody has to walk this alone. And I know I'm standing in a room full of people who make decisions, who show up in critical moments, who carry responsibility most people will never see. And what you do, it matters more than you ever fully know. So yes, awareness matters. Yes, saying yes to donation, it matters. Because you never know whose life is waiting on your decision. But what matters just as much is how people are treated while they're still here. Because at the end of the day, yeah, healthcare saved my life, but it was compassion that made me feel seen. And that's what people are going to remember about you. Thank you.